Welcome to Nottingham. Welcome to our first interprofessional HPSN UK conference. I'm delighted to see you, friends, colleagues, and educators from around the world because we have 18 countries represented here today. I'm Robert Amyot. I'm the president of CA Healthcare. I'm very happy to welcome you. So this conference is a reinvention. It's built on the success and on the momentum that was built by the CAE HPS UK Nursing and Midwifery Conference that started in 2006. It was the brainchild of Jamie Stewart and Amanda Wilford. They created that a decade ago, and since then it has evolved to become really an interprofessional event. This year we reimagined what we could offer and try to inspire, encourage, and advance the field of simulation in healthcare. What are the significant trends and what are your challenges? What is it that we can tackle together? We extended our scope and we reached out to a broader community. And the response has been awesome. So we have 300 registrants to this conference coming from 18 countries and representing more than a dozen specialties and trades in healthcare education. So by offering these 2 days, we hope to inspire you, just like you inspire us, to work harder and to strive to improve patient safety and education in healthcare. We have clinicians, technologists, people from research, and also educators from private and public healthcare, from academia, from community settings, as well as urban settings, including facilitators from the University of Acıbadem in Istanbul, in Turkey, which is one of our CA Healthcare Centers of Excellence. You are a remarkable and diverse and accomplished audience, and we're privileged to have you. And we all share in common this desire to improve patient safety and education in healthcare. Now, I want to talk a little bit about our parent company, CAE, which is a global leader in pilot training. And they do that using full flight simulators, so it's really an education that's simulation-based. Every year, CAE trains more than 120,000 pilots and crew personnel. So throughout this year, we're celebrating the 70th anniversary of CAE, 70 years of history. And healthcare is the newest division within CAE. We're only 7 years old, but we're already a leader in the field of simulation in healthcare. And we're very proud to have the largest offering in terms of product and services in high fidelity simulation. Now, our academy is also something that distinguishes CAE from the other players. So we have experts in the field of simulation or a clinician by trades. They're here as a resource for you during these 2 days, but also to help you in your day-to-day operations in your training center, as well as planning your long-term objectives as a simulation center. Some of you are new to this conference, so I want to introduce a little bit CAE and talk about our outlook on healthcare and also talk about some of our innovations that are in the making. So, our core business, civil aviation, is the safest transportation modality in the world. So imagine, mile for mile, it's 22 times safer to fly in an aircraft, commercial aviation, than to ride your car. 22 times safer, not twice, not 22%, 22 times safer. And WHO states that the chances of dying because of a human error in a commercial aircraft are in the order of 1 out of a million. While the chances of dying in a hospital because of an error, a human error, is in the order of 1 out of 300, which means that being in a hospital in terms of human error is 3,300 times more risky, which is a little bit frightening. I'm sure we can improve on that. In aviation, CAE has worked with regulation agencies to create a culture of safety and create an organization that's a reference in terms of safety, what we call an organization of reliability, a high reliability organization, sorry. One from which the best practices are inspired. And some of these best practices could be transferred to healthcare. That's what we want to explore with you. So aviation is highly regulated. Imagine that the pilots need to recertify every 6 to 12 months, and they take that very seriously. Their license is on the line. If they don't pass the exam every 6 to 12 months, they can't fly the aircraft, they can't earn a living. So it's integrated into the profession. Obviously, it's very different in healthcare. We don't have that kind of regulation. Yet, simulation has been adopted in healthcare by those who believe in its value. And today, most physicians and nurses learn on simulators. That being said, we don't do that in a very standardized or uniform fashion. Now, we believe that in partnership with you, with this community of experts, we can improve our culture of safety and improve the way that we train using simulation. Now, something that struck me in the last year when we organized our first HPSN China conference in 2016, we had a presentation with two speakers about how we can use some of the best practices in aviation and transfer that to healthcare. It was pretty technical. We're talking about standard operating procedures. We had two speakers, one coming from Canada, Robert Nag, who's a director of a sim center in Canada, and the other one, also working for CAE, but who had never met Robert, who's a pilot working in China. So they had never met each other, and in fact, they met pretty much on stage for their presentation. They didn't have time to practice, they didn't have time to rehearse. Yet their presentation was seamless. Their communication was flawless because in aviation, there's this worldwide standards, the same taxonomy, and the same set of safety procedures. So two strangers presenting on the same topic who had not had time to practice together could do that seamless presentation on a very technical topic. We're all very impressed by that. And as a clinician coming from a teaching hospital, I was very surprised. And obviously, we don't have that kind of standards in healthcare. But maybe there are a few lessons that we can learn from that industry and transfer them to healthcare. Now, today's conference is about technology, and I'd like to bring to your attention a few technologies that have improved the way that things are standardized in aviation. So throughout a pilot's career, they're going to recertify every 6 to 12 months, and most of that is done on briefing, debriefing, so subjective observation. But there's also hard data to assess their performance, and that's what I want to bring to your attention. The first one is called FOCA. It's Flight Operations Quality Assurance. In other words, they take the data from the flights, from the flight recorders, from the black box, and they pull that in a huge database, and they analyze that database looking for trends and trying to spot risky behaviors from pilots. Now, 20 years ago when they started that FOQA program, it's interesting because there was a lot of pushback. A number of pilots and important stakeholders said, well, why are you collecting data from normal flights? There's nothing to learn from that. Little did they know, pretty early on, we discovered in aviation risky behaviors. For example, in some circumstances, a number of pilots would land on what's called an unstable approach. They were out of the optimal funnel to land the aircraft. They were coming in too fast or too slow, too high or too low. Anyways, in Flying 101, you're supposed to pick up some momentum, go back in the air, do a few circles, and then land on a stable approach. But a number of pilots were landing anyways, you know, with the argument of, hey, I've been flying F-16s for 10 years, I can land this thing, which is not really what I would call a culture of safety. So obviously, it was changed. And the beauty is that it was changed within 12 months because it became part of the scenarios for recertification of pilots, which means that in a cycle of 12 months, all the pilots flying commercial aircraft globally throughout the world had to go through a scenario of an unstable approach, and those landing the plane wouldn't pass the exam. So by taking the data of normal flights and by also having this mandatory recertification, a risky behavior was fixed in a matter of 12 months globally, which is very impressive. Imagine if we had access to all of our data in healthcare and could identify risky behaviors and different patterns. We could improve very fast using simulation. Now, CA pushed that a little further and created SOQA, which is Simulation Operations Quality Assurance. And that's taking the data from the flight simulators. And what's interesting is that they discovered that the data or the behavior of the pilots in a flight simulator is very similar to their behavior in the real aircraft, meaning that the simulation has a lot of value, and even in simulators you can identify the behaviors that pilots have in real life. Now, many of you use AV systems to brief and debrief, so it's great, but it's not necessarily standardized in healthcare, and the way that we assess performance is not standardized either, and we don't really have access to the data from the clinical world on what are the trends and behaviors of the healthcare professionals. Maybe with technology we can improve that. Now, I want to show you an effort to become more objective in our assessment of performance. So this is a project that we did with the American Society of Anesthesiologists, ASA, in the US. So we created screen-based simulation with them. So in other words, it's a virtual environment in a virtual OR where the anesthesiologist controls his avatar on the screen and interacts with the other players, if you will, the other stakeholders in the OR, and with the patient. The patient has its simulated physiology, so as a response that's very realistic. And in a few weeks, when that is going to be launched, the anesthesiologists in the US will be able to claim credits for their maintenance of certification in anesthesiology, which is mandatory, using that platform. Now, what's interesting is that the whole environment is digital, so all the performance of the players, of the anesthesiologists in that world, can be captured. And it's very different from going to a sim center, because it used to be mandatory for the anesthesiologists in the US to go to sim centers, but all the sessions from one sim center to the other were different. And the observations, also the evaluation, was subjective. So I'll give you just a peek into that technology, which has parallels with the recertification and the objective data in aviation. Now it's applied to healthcare for anesthesiologists.
Are you allergic to any medicines? We need faster compressions.
All right.
So it's pretty impressive. Although as a promotional video, I questioned the fact that the patient dies. I'm not sure that's the best example, but it's pretty impressive, right? And it's what we can accomplish when we work with key opinion leaders like you and when we work with scientific societies. Now, from our vantage point, there's a groundswell of support for a more uniform training standards and a set also of evidence-based simulation in healthcare. So we envision a day where the assessment is going to be subjective, as it is for pilots right now and as it is in healthcare, but also grounded in some objective data of performance assessment. So during this conference, I'd like to hear you on how you use data. How do you assess performance? How could it be more objective? And also how you use data when you have conversation with external stakeholders to monitor the activities in a sim center. So we have tremendous talent at CA Healthcare, and we have interesting technologies that could be leveraged for a more data-driven environment. So we want to continue that journey with you, and we'd like to have that conversation with you during this conference. Now, CA Healthcare has built a portfolio of simulation products, and we have the largest range in terms of products and technologies in the industry. And if we accomplish that, it's because we listen to you and we learn from you. And our team has a relentless drive to improve, and I'm proud to say today that we have 3 core strengths that we want to share with you. It's innovation, expertise, and support. So we'll continue to strive to give you meaningful innovations that serve educational purposes, and that point is important. Relationship-based customer support, and we have the best in the industry, and unrivaled peer-to-peer expertise to guide your program, your simulation with a purpose. Now, an exciting part of our job is the first piece, innovation. And you may have seen that this year we introduced SimEyes for our Lucina and our Athena patient simulators. So these are the most realistic eyes ever seen on patient simulators, and they display clinical signs and conditions. And you're going to see more of these modular technology as improvements in our patient simulators in the coming months. Now, later this year, we'll also introduce a new technology. It's cloud-based monitoring of our patient simulators. So our install base of patient simulator will be connected to the cloud to streamline our support to our customers. There's no other player in the industry that has the means to come up with that kind of technology. Imagine, we will be able remotely to monitor, diagnose, and troubleshoot our patient simulators. And we're doing that quickly because it's just a matter of being connected to the internet. Now, another very exciting innovation that we came up with was announced in December. So we created our first innovation using holograms, using augmented reality. And we did that with the release of our Vimedix AR ultrasound simulator. So we connected HoloLens, which is a device created by Microsoft, to our ultrasound simulator. Now, if you don't know, the Microsoft HoloLens is this head-mounted gear. It's a self-contained computer and self-contained display. It projects hologram in the environment. And you can anchor these holograms into a simulator. It really augments the experience as the user. And you'll see that what's even more exciting is our engineers are on fire with that type of technology, and you'll see more of that in the coming months. Now, Microsoft visited our headquarters in Montreal in December to shoot a video about this new capability that we have in the field of augmented reality. And I'd like to show that to you right now. Let's have a look. CE Healthcare is the global training partner of choice to improve patient safety, and we do that by providing the most innovative training solutions based on simulation. Our customers are university, colleges, governments, medical device companies, hospitals. For centuries, people were relying on textbook and dissection and plastic models of the heart. And in a span of 20 years, we've seen that augmented reality on a 2D screen. And now what HoloLens has added is another layer. You're not looking at the augmented reality on a 2D screen. It's there, standing in midair. And now you can see these finite details, the relationship with many structures, and you can see them with all the range of what's normal, but also with pathologies. So that's been a revolution.
What we see in this generation of learners is that they come to the classroom with a different set of skills, eager to interact with technology, eager to be immersed in their learning environment.
As a healthcare provider, we're the most dangerous when we are into that learning curve. But now this has completely changed. We can practice on plastic and pixels and try things and make mistakes and see also all the different cases and the different challenges you can have. And then when you're ready, you really can go at the bedside and do these procedures on real patients.
Within a space of 2-3 weeks, we were up and running. We were displaying physiology into the HoloLens world there. It was spectacular. And the HoloLens, because of its optical characteristics, the doctor is viewing the internal tissues and organ at the working distance between eyes and hands. You need extreme accuracy for that. HoloLens offers that.
The educational framework that we can add in this virtual environment is limitless. Now you're going to have the best teaching or learning experience ever, and you can do that remotely. So everybody is in the same virtual environment with the exact same world-renowned instructor, for example.
It's been proven in other fields that simulation actually leads to safer environments. We're bringing this technology to our students so that they're going to be better healthcare providers.
Now that's cool stuff, and we believe that this is a new frontier in simulation. We think we're going to see more of these augmented reality, mixed reality, and virtual reality environments in the years to come. And clearly, we want to be the leader in pioneering that in that field. Now, there's clearly a wow effect with projecting holograms in the environment and on simulators, but my pledge to you as a clinician and as an educator is that we're not going to bring these disruptive technologies unless they fulfill an educational purpose and unless they add value in terms of education. So that's clear in our mind that it needs to serve a purpose. Now, finally, I'm very excited to introduce an innovation that's really targeting some of our most valued customers and some of our most loyal customers. It's a group that has supported the advance of simulation for decades, and they've really been pioneering. They've also contributed to our growth as a company. I'm talking about the nurse educators. So the nurse educators and their students who are going to be in the field in a few years from now deserve a better clinical skills mannequin, and we have just built that for them. It's called Juno, and I'm very excited to unveil that today. And we're doing that in the UK. Interestingly enough, not a coincidence, in 2007, the UK NMC, that's the Nursing Midwifery Council, was the first regulator in the world to allow up to 300 hours of direct patient care hours to be replaced in a simulated practice, in a simulated environment. And they did that for nursing. It was very forward thinking at the time and really groundbreaking. And many of you in this audience, I'm sure in the last decade, have been implementing this. So we believe that this mannequin, Juno, will help you support this effort as you continue to embed more simulation into the education of our nursing undergraduate students. So we're very proud to introduce CA Juno, and this is a world premiere. It's the first time it's revealed to the public. It's never been shown before. It's going to make its first debut in North America tomorrow at NACSA in Washington, D.C., but this is the first time that we unveil Juno. So help me, please join me in welcoming to the world Juno. All right, good stuff. So yeah, so we're very proud of Juno. So it's been a three-year effort to come up with Juno. And we've designed Juno having the needs of the undergraduate nursing curriculum in mind. And we're very happy to say that our focus was ease of operations, ease of use as well. We made it affordable, and it's supported obviously by the best customer service in the industry, and with the added benefit of CA's exceptional learning content that fulfills the European Union requirements for nursing. So very happy to introduce Juno. You will have the opportunity in the coming sessions to meet with Juno, take selfies with Juno, and see all its capabilities. Now, I encourage you in the coming 2 days to try on the HoloLens and explore Juno and test out all the simulators while you're here at this conference. Innovation is part of our DNA, but you as partners help us and guide us in its expression. So your contribution is really important. And in fact, we want this HPSN UK conference to be a dialogue. We want to learn from you. What are your challenges? What it is that we can work together to overcome. You inspire us to do better, to work harder, to do and strive to improve in everything that we do every day. And we thank you for that. We're here to listen to you and help you overcome your challenges. So we're looking forward to a very lively and productive HPSN UK conference. I thank you for your attention. So our current theme, as you know, is current and future trends in simulation, and we organized 2 distinct days. The first day today is more on innovation and technology. Tomorrow is more on education strategies. And with the emergence of very innovative technologies, from more realistic patient simulators to augmented reality and virtual reality, the simulation technologists, running smoothly our training center, have become more and more important. They sustain and they help your sim centers to improve training. And today's keynote speakers are pioneers in that field, and they have helped elevate the standards among technologists and operational technicians. So Tim Whitaker is an educator with the CA Healthcare Academy. He's also an active contributor to the Society for Simulation simulation in healthcare. And he's been instrumental in helping to establish the Society's certification programs and readiness review courses for operational specialists. He's going to be our first keynote speaker today in a few minutes. And later this afternoon, Jane Nicklin, who's been a tireless advocate for certification as well through her work with the United Kingdom Science Council, would be a keynote speaker as well. And after her keynote presentation this afternoon, she will moderate a roundtable of simulation technologists who represent the full spectrum of simulation-based education, undergraduate, postgraduate, high-stakes assessment and operations within a large sim center. And we've planned also lively interactive exercise in the product showcase. You'll see that. You can mingle with our staff. They will demonstrate how to link together our different simulators to create more engaging scenarios that involve teams. So the exercise will follow an obstetrical patient's journey from her first visit when she learns that she's pregnant to delivery and postpartum care. And we encourage you to participate also in these demonstrations and use them as a springboard for discussions with our staff, with our product managers, with our academy, so that we can, really create a dialogue. And I also want to invite you to join us at the opening reception tonight, where we can relax and enjoy conversation with your peers from 18 different countries. And now I'd like to formally introduce our first keynote speaker, Tim Whitaker. So Timothy Whitaker has spent 34 years in healthcare, including roles in military, pre-hospital, and flight medicine in areas from transplantation to education and simulation. He's been an educator for over 20 years. He started, he was 9, including 12 years in simulation education. He also designed and managed multiple simulation centers, curricula, and programs. Tim is a tailored solution consultant and an educator for CA Healthcare. Most recently, he's been the project leader for CA and has assisted in the development of the U.S. Air Force Aeromedical Evacuation Crew Simulation Curriculum. He's credentialed by the Society for Simulation in Healthcare as an educator and operations specialist. And Tim serves the Society for Simulation in Healthcare in multiple capacities and sits on a number of committees as chair and co-chair. Tim is well published. He lectures and consults internationally on all concepts in terms of delivery of simulation in healthcare. And his subject today is the evolution and revolution of simulation operations specialists. So please join me in welcoming a very passionate and knowledgeable individual, Tim Whitaker.
Good morning, everybody. How are we? All ready for a great 2 days at HPSN? Awesome. I want to thank my boss, Dr. Amyot, for having me here, and all of the UK staff from CAE, and all of you folks for having me here to speak. So let's go this way. There we go. So what I want to talk a little bit about is the evolution and revolution of the simulation operational specialist. Some of this through my eyes and through my experience. I'm blessed with my career at CAE that I get to visit lots of different places in the world in the simulation realm and see some of these things that occur and what we do day to day and where we kind of came from and where I see as the operational specialist or the technologist going in the future. And I think it's a very important role. And there are some themes that we all are sharing. Some of my experience will come from the U.S. I've also gained it from multiple associations across the world to understand which way we're going and the standards that are being set. So first off, just be proud of yourselves. You are an integral part of the team. Don't let anyone tell you differently on that and as we go. So let's look back for a long time ago that a gentleman, he's getting ready to set up. He's one of the operational specialists from way back when, and he's setting up, and he's going to have an ultra-realistic simulation and just kind of bring everything to life in his simulation lab. And it probably looks something a little bit like this.
It's moving. It's moving. It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
So that's how it goes every day, right? That's what it's like down in our little lab doing diabolical things to bring our simulations to life. So a little bit about me. Thanks for the little bit of levity. I like to start off that way. as everyone knows, I tend to throw a little levity in everything I do because it is somewhat, 10% technology and about 90% theatrics of what we're doing and magic, as we say. So a little bit about my journey. I want to thank Dr. Amyot for the kind introduction. I began in the military and actually as a combat medic and also had some side things in nuclear, biological, chemical warfare with the 101st Airborne Division out of the United States Army. That was only about 5 years ago. So we were doing simulation back then. And from there, I moved out into and became a training officer and a captain of the countywide EMS system in the States, and moving back into the helicopters, which I so loved from the military. I started our simulation program, bought one of the first, back then it was METI, one of the first ECS simulators for that program, and developed a simulation lab, and then subsequently the second simulation mobile lab back in the day in the States. And built that myself in the back of a mobile intensive care unit. So from there, I just kept moving along in my educational path and learning more about simulation. And trust me, I was doing a bunch of crazy things. I had no idea if I was doing it right back then. It just looked cool, and it felt good, and we thought we were teaching somebody. Things have changed a little bit, and we've grown from that. I've also used it in the transplant field to educate transplant professionals, as well as moving working along the Ohio State University School of Medicine and my hometown of Cleveland, the Cleveland Clinic, and working in the transplant field there as well, as I mentioned, and doing some of the things with simulation and becoming a little bit unique. And as an operational specialist and an educator, I kind of can see both sides of that fence. So I can see the importance of both of the roles in all of this. So that's a little bit of backgrounding where I came from. And then I became very involved in simulation and the passion. And CA has been very good about letting me pursue that passion and my time with associations and my time at work and looking into things and publishing. So I'm very grateful that they allow that. And keep that in mind when you think of CAE, is that we don't just sell the product. We do bring to the table a huge educational benefit and truly a solution for you as a partner of choice when we're going down that path. So where do we really come from? So in the backgrounding of looking at all this, and there she is, my colleague out here, Jane, who's a passionate, I have to give her her bit right now, a passionate advocate as well, like I am for you guys out there. We're really, really advocates of this. And there's more of us around the world within various associations. And we're looking at where everyone's kind of coming from. There's been some research on that, both in the States and internationally, of where we're noticing that simulation specialists are evolving from. One of the obvious ones we've seen are the paramedics that have moved into the educational realm. As a paramedic myself, I was using simulation for quite a bit. Just did not know I wasn't doing it formally, and as we've educated ourselves on this, we have figured out that, well, we could do a little bit better of a job. So a lot of us have come from that field. That's probably one of the primary fields. And here's the other one, informational technology. We've seen a lot of people influx into this. And the reason why some of these different roles are important is we need to figure out how we can formally develop ourselves when we come from each one of these roles that I speak of. Another obvious role we see, even operational specialists and technologists come from, is the nursing, medical field, operating theater fields, and various medical disciplines. We're seeing them evolve from there as well. So you can see as we go through, once again, audio-visual, that there are unique situations we're all bringing to the table with all this. Some of the other places, biomedical engineering. I have actually seen quite a few operational specialists that have a biomedical backgrounding. These folks are pretty diabolical when it comes to being able to do little things to the mannequin that we never would have thought of and make it do things for us. And then last, some people don't think of this, theater. We do have people that come from the theater backgrounds or have a secondary degree in the theater. Some of this is coming into the surveys that we're seeing and some of the research background of things that we're seeing in the simulation operational specialist and technologist role. And there are some guys that are just born into it. And I don't know if you guys all know, this is the gentleman behind, don't look at the man behind the curtain, the great and all-powerful Wizard of Oz. So he was just kind of born into it. So we're going to refer to as a lot of different names. I'm going to come back to this a little bit soon, but if you look at, some of us are called technicians, some of us are called specialists. assistants, coordinators, you name it. There's a variety of names that's being used for us out there. And this is something I'll soapbox on just a little bit later as I go through my presentation with you all. So what have our roles been? I think you all can relate to this. Some of our roles are unique, but I think we share a lot of common ground. Some of us are equipment support. We're doing inventory. We're setting up. We're assisting, facilitating. We participate or not participate in the debriefings. I think a lot of us, there's little subtle differences in these, but there's a large common thread that we basically all do share when it comes to the operations end of a simulation and the technology behind it. So because of that, these little subtitles, this is crucial on how we're going to evolve with this, and we'll speak a little bit more on this in a moment as well. So where are we right now? We're used in a lot of different places in the simulation practice. You all agree? We're all in a variety of roles. We have a lot of different operations that we do. Some of us do this, some of us don't do that. But remember, back to my what I'm trying to get through is that we do share a common goal, effective simulation, to prevent downstream effects, no harms to a patient, and that the simulation is very valid and reliable. We are recognized by multiple societies and associations across the world. If you start looking, there's a lot of associations: the Society for Simulation in Healthcare, ASPE, CESM, SimGhost, Anaxel. They are all recognizing us. I think in the last 3 or 4 years, and even I've had some side discussions with some of you, we're seeing the recognition of the operational specialist starting to evolve, where we're becoming an industry and part of the development of that industry and as a professional role. So a lot of the societies are looking at this, and they're taking notice of what we do, and they're also taking notice of how we do, and that's very important. So there is credentialing that's been put into place, and there's also a professional registry here in the UK, and I will mention, and I just found this out, and through my own not really knowing, I knew about the professional registry for the technologists here, that it is worldwide. You do not have to live in the UK. And Jane kindly verified that a second time when I was asking about it at CESM. And I will be on your registry soon, I hope. But so these are all worldwide. The credentialing from SSH was done based off of a practice analysis. Well, we started back in the day, and we started bringing in scholars that looked at what the operational specialist was doing. They formed a practice analysis, which was basically data gathering and rubric gathering and what we do every day, and then came up with a list of domains of our practice and what those domains look like and what we do in each one of those domains, one of them being design, one of them being technology, and the parts and the granular portions to that. I do want to mention, because I was just notified, because I am on the credentialing committee and also the development of the credentialing, that there will be another practice analysis coming this fall. So I beg and plead with you, as an international audience, we will be reaching out to other societies, become part of it. Whether you're credentialed or not, I'm not here to sell that to you. I think it's important for our recognition, as well as that registry, of why we should do that, because it becomes part of who we are. But I do need, and we do ask for your input on these, of what you do every day and how you see these roles evolving. So that's something very important coming up. We're also defined in the Society for Simulation in Healthcare Dictionary. So there is it says operational specialist, and that's what this is. And that's basically a defined term now. So there is also competencies out there. They're being developed. They are in place. Multiple associations have it. We are looking at these across associations, and we see similarities, and that's great. Why? Because if we just keep calling ourselves a bunch of different names and things like, that's not going to work well with us, and we need to be consistent. So there's current work with Anaxel. This fall there will be a publishing of the, if anyone's aware of the Anaxel standards of simulation, there will be another standard added, and that will be the operational standard. And the operational specialists and technologists will be part of that standard. And Jane's also, there's been work at ASPE as well on these standards and these competencies and practice standards. This is very important if we're going to go anywhere with this field. People still do not know who we are, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. One of the biggest things we have picked up on is that standardization and recognition, and I'll hit the big one here. It's probably, so I went 1, 2, but I'm going to say 3, money. And that has a lot to do with where we're at and what we're being called and things like that. And we'll talk just a little bit more. But I believe those are the 3 big themes that we're seeing everywhere in the world with the technologist and operational specialist crowds. So there are degree programs starting to emerge. In the United States, recently, up near my hometown, Akron University, and these you don't need to be a resident of the States, by the way, has emerged with one. CAE is blessed with working on a degree program for the operational specialist at Miami-Dade University in the States. And there are some worldwide degrees that we know that are in the pipeline coming for all of us, okay? As well as master's degree programs just in simulation that's out there. So, yet we still struggle with what we're doing in identity and roles. And I think that's going to be our biggest struggle right there is our identity and roles. Not only to us, but our employers and the industry. That's our biggest point of avocation. If I have to give you a pep talk at all about people that we need to educate about what we do, it might not be our peers as much as it needs to be our bosses and the industry. They still don't know what to call it. When you start looking and Googling simulation jobs, you'll see a bunch of different names calling it this, calling that. And these universities, hospital systems, and whatnot just don't know what to call us. And we need to educate them on actually what we do. I've seen at IMSH a recent presentation, and it did give me a little bit of a thought that sometimes maybe they should focus more on the role versus this funny name they want to keep coming up with. And we do need to standardize a name, don't get me wrong. But look more at the role. Okay, so some of these solutions I can speak more to in just a little bit. So what does the future hold for us? What do you think the future holds for us? We're all going to be out of work, right? I don't think so. So last recent check with some of the data I looked at and even our business data is that you're somewhere around 20% overall growth worldwide in simulation. Now this can vary market to market. You get into Asia, Middle East areas, it's even higher that the growth is occurring. So we don't really have statistics on that job description growth, but we do anecdotally believe that if it's going to grow at 20%, so are we. We're coming with it. They can't do this without us, folks. Trust me. They may think they can, but they can't. Then somebody's going to make a phone call and come crying to you. How do I get my simulator to work? Or this isn't working. So trust me, we're good. We're good in our job market future. And we're seeing some of the ratio setups in Simulation Center that if there's like 2 or 3 facilitators, we're starting to see this 3-to-1 to 4-to-1 ratio. If there's 3 or 4 facilitators, there's a sim ops specialist there. And we even see some of it where it's reversed. There's more operational specialists than there is the actual faculty, and they're bringing in adjunct faculty. So I think the job growth out there is for us. We need to be savvy. We need to educate ourselves because we still are in a niche market. You are in a specialized position, and people do want you. There's people that are out there looking for you as these simulation centers grow. And as we become registered, credentialed, that just means we're even more marketable. Some of the postings that I've seen actually are asking for credentialed, degreed, or registered, professional registered people. And as the industry educates itself about our role, you'll see this increase as well. Did a few searches last night. There was about 275 ops jobs in the U.S., and I wasn't able to do a whole lot of searching in Europe, but I seen about 100 of them when I was going through some quick data numbers, looking like at Indeed.com and a few of the job posting websites. So I think the future is pretty bright for us. Come on in, we're going to hire you. And the emerging markets, if the Middle East and Asia, South America, we see a lot of emerging market there, and they are thirsty for someone that knows anything about simulation. Okay? So that's very important. That's great. So we're seeing it overall. We're seeing that ratio, and I'm seeing those postings. So, our evolving roles. There's the keys in the organization. So we're becoming a big part of the team. I hope some of you feel that way, and not just the worker bee. Because you trust me, I'll step over to the educator side. You're very important. And I need you as an educator. I really do. These aren't things, and we've already proven it, that me running the simulation, me running the AV, and me over here trying to grade the students and evaluate the students and assess the students doesn't work so well. As a matter of fact, the reliability and validity on that starts going all over the place. If we're ever going to move to good summative assessments, that's just not going to work for us. So you need to be part of the team in that. So what are we doing? We're seeing more of the operate. How many of you actually do faculty development work? A few? We all should be doing this. And when I say faculty development work, that's educating our dean. I'm going to use a university for example. Our dean, all the way down about what we do and all about simulation. Educating our faculty on best practice, operations practice, becoming part of that faculty and the staff, orienting students to the technology. One of the big failures you look at some of the research is that we're failing to even orient our students to the technology. We really are. They walk in the sim lab and it goes woefully bad. They're turning and looking and asking for respiratory rates when the simulator's giving it to them, when the chest goes up and down, or you're listening or you see it. So we're becoming more involved in the faculty development stage. So we're actually becoming actual education providers, becoming an integral part of that team of delivery of the education. The say-so, and the faculty's coming in wanting an educational program developed, and we're the voice of reason saying, no, you don't want to use that. We're not going to do innovation practice on the big high-fidelity mannequin. That's what this partial task trainer's for. Okay? So we're becoming part of that, becoming part of the assistance and the educational delivery of simulation. Some of the other things we're doing is becoming part of the administration. I have talked to multiple technologists and specialists out there that are part of the admin team. They are part of the decision process. I know our sales staff has met, those are the guys that say are the yes-nos, whether something is purchased. So it is an important role, and becoming more integral in the administration and the actual development of policy and procedures for your simulation center. So all this serves to see, this is where we're going, folks. This really is where we're going. So we're also becoming part of the educational society. I just kind of talked on that a second ago. There are standards out there that we should be assisting in the design for best practice, that the design works well. We know how the equipment runs. We know what the setup times take, and that has to do with the scheduling. Okay? I know another theme, and Jane, again, I love her, mentioned that some of the pain points that we're having, we're overscheduled, right? We don't have time to, they want to run 500 people through, and we're going to do that in 3 hours. So sometimes we need to be the hard stop. So it's very important that we take those steps in our professional development and as we integrate with the team to be part of that, all right? We don't want to be part of the creation of a trading scar. That was a pitch on my presentation for tomorrow. Okay, that was a cheap pitch on my presentation for tomorrow. We don't want to be part of a bad training. Okay. So, what's our future hold for us? Well, I think we got a lot of opportunities here in becoming more active in research. Simulation is still under a lot of research. I think our role as an operational specialist and technologist needs a little bit more research behind it. As a matter of fact, it needs a lot. And there's a lot of us active doing that to promote that. And really, and then becoming active in other research subjects. We should know a little bit about research methodologies. I think that's important as your job. I really do, because you're going to become part of that. And the last thing we want to do is we don't want to be part of why something's thrown out as an invalid research project because of our part. So educating ourselves in research, I think, is an important matter. We're also becoming subject matter experts in a variety of roles. There's regulating agencies actually seeking out operational specialists. In the U.S., we're seeing some of the regulation agencies asking for subject matter experts in operational technology. Very important, because we're heading, trust me, when we get into the regulatory phase, similar to what civil aviation and CAE has done, they will be looking for us to provide that input, to provide those, develop those regulations for simulation and the requirements. Innovators and designers, my gosh, we're a crazy group. We're always coming up with all kinds of good stuff. I've seen some amazing innovations come right out of somebody's little sim lab. Who wants those? We want that input. A company wants that input. So designing, when we design things as a company at CAE, we have beta testers like yourselves. And we're thirsty for those. We need to see that it's going to work correctly. We don't want to send something out that doesn't work correctly. That makes you important. So that's the importance of the innovation and design that you're doing in your little shop. Seek out places to take that, okay? Consultants. I've evolved my role, and they've blessed me with letting me do that as a consultancy as well on simulation center design, staffing, curriculum. So I can bring a few things to the table, and it's going to be a need. Remember I said 20% growth? They're going to be looking for the consultative parts of this. Consult with your own facility. The dean comes and wants to know about simulation. Where do we need to go from here? You become part of the consulting on that. All right? These are all great futures for us. And hey, as the programs develop, we're going to need you for the faculty. When we're teaching a simulation technologist or operational specialist degree, we're going to have to draw on you because it's not there. So the people that have the work experience are going to need to become part of that faculty. Another future role that I see where we're going with all this is becoming an academic faculty member. So what's the road look like ahead? Well, it's not too rocky. I think it is. And what should we be called? A little controversial. I like operational specialist. I'm from SSH, okay? So that's kind of where that comes from. I do know the technologist word is also often used. I think there may be a blend somewhere. There might be a little bit more work to be done. But I'm going to give you my opinion right now. We need to get away from the word technician. In the States, a technician role in the government is automatically assigned a G5 rating. And I don't know how much you know about the U.S. government employee system. G5 is down here. And it's because of the word technician. Traditionally technicians have been at a lower grade. You guys are way more valuable than what a technician's salary should ever pay. I'm sure you're disagreeing with me right now. So I think we need internationally to be at least somewhat consistent with the role names that we're using. How do we do that? We need to educate the people that are employing us, future employers, work with government agencies. It's a little bit of hard to get through. I mean, the Department of Labor in the U.S., there's no definitive role for us. That we're trying to get that through the Society for Simulation Healthcare. I know there's also work here as well, trying to get a defined role. As a paramedic back in the States, we were called an emergency medical technician. And there's no way anything I did was really a technician role. I was a paramedic and saved lives. Don't call me a technician. So we've kind of suffered under that role for 30-some years. So I'm cautioning us now, as a collective group of professionals, not to get tied into that technician name and to evolve from that as a professional. And once again, to take our profession, credential it, make it recognized as a professional registry, and bring it forward. That's the only way this is going to work. If we all continue to call ourselves different little names, we will be inconsistent. And consistency is one of the things even Jane picked up on in their surveys, consistency of who we are. We all don't necessarily have to be doing the exact same list of tasks. We do share a lot of common ground here. We really do. So I think we need to work with our associations worldwide, ASPE, SSH, and Axel, the associate SESM, and collaboratively take ourselves forward with all this. Okay? So there's a lot of different ways we can develop ourselves. Credentialing is one of them. Right now, currently, my data, the last time I checked, we had about 153 people in 8 different countries throughout the world that are credentialed as an OS. The OS credentialing came out after the HSE, so it was a little bit behind, but we're seeing it increase. We are trying to get a little bit more international presence with it. We, obviously, since it's primarily U.S., that's where the groundwork started to go. Trust me, you will see my face more over here on this other side of the water, because we're not the only ones over there. There's a world of us out there. And Dr. Monk back there is going to help me. I just volunteered him. So there is another practice analysis, as I mentioned. Keep an eye out for that through your local associations that you are in with, because we will be reaching out to all those. And we're all tied together pretty much in one way or another. Professional registry, another way. Like it or not, we're in healthcare and they like acronyms. I belong to the AHA, the Acronym Haters of America, but they do like those things behind our names. And it does elevate the profession. There's plenty of research and science out there of what credentialing and registry does to elevate a profession. It's all over out there. So it is becoming a job requirement on a lot of postings that I've seen. Be active in your associations. Be an advocate. We can either sit back and take this, or we can be advocates for our profession. I think that's a very important thing that we need to do. Once again, start looking into your formal degree programs that are emerging out there, and role education. There are role education programs out there. Some that prepare you for credentialing. Some of them just prepare you for the role. Or postgraduate certificates. Those are all coming about. Some of the associations also have role education as well. These are all important things. And they make you marketable. At the same time, another one of our little pain points, we need to advocate that our jobs are given professional development time. That we are allotted the time to professionally develop ourselves. Either our institutions bring us in professional development, or they let us go to professional development, such as conferences like these. There is some research out there, and we're looking more and more into how we can develop ourselves, and a lot of it is coming down the pike, so keep an eye out for that. But we need to advocate for ourselves and educate our employers, and also publishing. And then get with somebody, publish something on a study, and get out there, publish something on actually our jobs, on the technologist and operational specialist. We need it, because it's still woefully behind on publishing and research. And that's the only way we're going to keep moving things further, is by investigation of what we do, how we do it, and who we need to be. And once again, you can see the theme: get our profession heard, get our profession heard. Here, CAE, obviously they embrace me, we embrace you. That's why we're having today, right now. That's why I'm up here giving the cheer and rah, rah, rah for technologists and operational specialists, and Jane will later, because they get it. They get it, and they do. Trust me, I would not be here I would not be staring at my boss right now from the stage, because they get it. And I think that's important, that the professions are heard. So, I want you all to get out there and simulate, do it well, take our profession forward. And I appreciate your time of listening about our very important role in the simulation in healthcare. So have a great day. If there's any questions, I can be open for a few questions, and then we can, if you need to, you can also contact me later. I'll be out moving about the floor. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, my name is Amanda Wilford, and I work for the Academy, and Tim is a great colleague. When we travelled in India for work, I was Mrs. Timothy for the whole trip. And that is true.
You got us free stuff in the hotel.
We have got time, literally just for one, maybe two questions, but then Tim will be around all of today and most of tomorrow, because then he has to get on a flight back to the US, so he will be around all of today. But is there any one or two burning questions? Or are you just like, wow? Oh, please.
Hi Tim, I'm Chris Gay from Hull Simulation up north.
Chris?
You're talking about the value of simulation technicians, simulation operating specialists. What is the easiest way of highlighting our value rather than anecdotally, we did this, we did that? How can we link it to patient safety? You know, we're so many layers away. What's the best way to describe that?
So I think that the first thing that comes to mind real quick to value it to patient safety is that the operational specialist, because of our role and that we're professionally helping develop simulations, that these are quality simulations that are validated and reliable and therefore create and contribute to the patient safety versus an uneducated person in there just setting up simulations and holding a simulation for fun. You guys actually bring value, realism in practice. Those all contribute to us taking that task, that skill, that critical thought process downstream in an appropriate way. So I think that the professional part of this is we need this. You help with the realism, the technology value, the fact that the technology will work and it won't interrupt the simulation, because those hiccups can cause negative trainings and things. So I think if you kind of look at it, that expertise, you're part of the team that's setting up a high-valued simulation that has of educational value in an appropriate fashion. Does that make sense?
We've got time just for one more question. No, that's fine. So just before I bring on our next person, I just want to say something about the program. Everybody can please attend whichever session they would like, but we just ask Lucy and the wonderful team from the University of Portsmouth have a lovely simulation vehicle outside, and I know today is one of the hottest days in the United Kingdom, so those of us that are British, keep up your fluids, in fact a 50 suntan lotion, but Lucy just asks that she will just limit the numbers going in for safety, so if there's quite a lot of people, she may ask you to come back later, so just wanted to make that point. So now, I'd just like to again say thank you to Tim. Gosh, where did he go? He went there. Thank you, Tim. He's networking. He's networking already. But now I'd like to introduce Mr. Kieran Feeney, who's one of our two UK sales-specific guys. He's just going to do a bit of an introduction. So I'm not quite sure what Kieran's going to say. So here you go.
Neither am I, to be honest. But Mister, I'll take that. Okay, so first I'd just like to say thanks very much for everyone coming today. I mean, it's a fantastic turnout. We really appreciate your efforts for being here. And because there's so many of you here, we thought it would be a good opportunity to kind of introduce ourselves. So over the next few days, if you have any questions and queries, you know who to go to. So as Mandy said, my name is Kieran Feeney. I'm based in Swindon and I cover the south of the UK. I'm the sales manager there. So anyone who's kind of based in my neck of the woods, if you like. If you have any questions over the next few days, please come and grab me. But I would like to invite the UK team up now. So folks, do you want to just come up? And I'll just introduce you all. And Daniel as well from Adam Rooley. Not all here, but okay, so it's just good for you to know people by face rather than names over emails, etc. So firstly, this is Amanda Wilford. So Amanda's our clinical educator in the UK and most of the world, to be honest. So if you have any queries over the next few days regarding any training, now that could be product training, that could be faculty development, anything along those, that kind of thing, just grab Mandy. She's fantastic and she'll give you any help you need, okay. Gentleman to my right here, this is Rob Murray. So Rob does the same role as me, but he's based in the north of the country. He's based in Manchester. Rob covers north of the UK, whole of Ireland. Yeah, big old area. Happy with that? Yep. Okay, so any questions, please grab Rob. Gentleman to the right, we have a newbie here, week in the company. This is Jake Rahman. Jake is our product specialist for ultrasound and surgical. So again, any queries around that, I would say Jake will have all the answers, but that would be a bit harsh. He's only been here a week, but that's the man to grab.
I would just say he's been here a week in the company, not he's weak in the company.
So, yeah, thanks for confirming that. Next lady along the end is Tracy. Tracy's one of our engineers. She supports Rob in the north of the country. Tracy's based up in Huddersfield. So any kind of technical queries, anything along those lines, Tracy's the person to go to. We do have another gentleman, and he's not here at the moment, Tom Sharp. Tom's our engineer who's based in the south. He's based in Oxford. He supports me. Again, anyone who's based down there, any technical queries at all, Tom's your man. Tall, good-looking fella with no hair. But yeah, he's out the back somewhere. So guys, you can grab a seat. So one thing I'd like to announce as well is the gentleman here to my right is called Daniel. Daniel is a product manager at Adam Rooley. I'm sure a lot of you in the room know who Adam Rooley are, but Adam Rooley are a company based in the UK that specialises in a huge variety of skill trainers, very well known, fantastic relationship. And as of next week, we've got an official working partnership with them, so we're very proud. And again, we thought it'd be a really good opportunity to announce that partnership today. So Adam Rooley, as of next week, will be responsible for our Blue Phantom range. So the CE Blue Phantom range are our ultrasound guided simulation mannequins. I'm sure a lot of you have used them. They're in pretty much every hospital in the UK, most hospitals around the world. Daniel and his colleagues will now be responsible for that product range as of next week. So they're going to help promote it, sell it, look after it for us. So again, any queries, Daniel will be here for the next 2 days. Any queries at all, please grab Daniel. Okay, thanks, Daniel. Okay, one thing I wanted to mention as well is that gentlemen in the corner from the Queen's Medical Centre Hospital down the road have kindly agreed to record, live stream the keynote presentations over the next 2 days. So they've got a YouTube channel at their simulation centre, and it's called Trent Simulation and Clinical Skills. Is that correct, guys? Yep, so it's their YouTube channel. So all the keynote presentations are being live streamed right now. But if you go back and you want to listen to a presentation again, or you've got some colleagues that you think, hey, do you know what, this would be really useful, YouTube channel, Trent Simulation, T-R-E-N-T, Trent Simulation and Clinical Skills Centre. They'll all be on there, as will the live scenario drill we're doing tomorrow as well, okay? So one slight change to the agenda I want to mention. So we're going to go straight into a coffee break now, okay? So that's slightly different on your agenda, so we will go straight into the coffee break. And after that, we're going to do 8 small workshops, and we're going to rotate all of you through 8, 10 to 15-minute workshops, which logistically isn't overly easy. So what we're going to do before you go, what we're going to do is we're going to split you up into 8 groups now, okay?